I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sumo Rant. This is our Haru recap show, and I told you so. What did I tell you? I told you that Kirishima would be the yusho winner, and I am so pleased with myself right now. I am so pleased that I chose the correct yusho winner, and I'm glad to see Kirishima win the yusho. So, Kirishima ended with a 12-3 record, and the one word I could use to describe what he did this tournament was just he was dominant. I thought he looked absolutely dominant. He won 11 matches in a row and handedly defeated all of those opponents. He only lost 3 times. He lost to Chiro no Numi in day 2, which kind of a bad loss. Chiro no Numi went 4-11. But then day 14, day 15, he lost to the two Ozeki, Aonishiki, and Kotozakura. But whatever, that's fine. He was still just an absolutely dominant wrestler, a dominant performance, and he's definitely got his Ozeki promotion. He needed probably just a winning record to get that, over 11 wins. Yusho will definitely give that to him. So couldn't be happier to see Kirishima back at the top with a Yusho as a Ozeki. And I even selected the match of the basho. I have to give it to Kirishima versus Takayasu in day 8. It was a marathon of a match. Takayasu got turned, but his right hand was in on the mawashi of Kirishima, and it looked a couple times that Kirishima was going to be able to kind of throw his hip in there, step in, and throw Kirishima, but Kirishima resisted it, and ultimately Kirishima won the match. It was just a fantastic match to see two top guys go at each other and wrestle like that. So awesome. And, you know, this is just really just a great story for Kirishima overall. I know 2 bashos ago, he had a chance to get that promotion once again, fell ill in the second week of the tournament and lost like 6 of his last 7 matches. So he kind of lost his chance at the Ozeki promotion. And he was an Ozeki at one point too. The last time he was Ozeki was May of 2024. Had that neck injury, and he went Kadoban. And that sucks. That sucks when that happens to a great wrestler and a wrestler that everybody likes. So I couldn't be more happy to see that Kirishima is back as an Ozeki, back as a Yusho winner. And, you know, I guessed it right. I guessed him right as the Yusho winner. And personally, for me, that feels really, really cool. So speaking of Kadoban, Ozeki, Aonishiki did not have a very good basho. He went 7-8, which earned him his first make koshe, and he lost in the last day of the tournament to Hoshoryu, his first ever loss to the Yokozuna. So Aonishiki's Kadoban. He needs to go into next tournament in June, and he needs to get a winning record. He needs a Kashikoshi, plain and simple. I think it's worth kind of asking why this happened to Aonishiki. And I think there's a lot of things that we need to talk about here. And I, by no means, am a expert in this. This is just simply my rant. Okay, that's all this is. But let's start at the top. So first of all, there may have been a possible injury. Maybe I was just seeing things. It could be just me. Maybe it could just be me. But it looked like his left foot was taped up, and it looked like he was favoring his foot. And what I was reading online was a possible, like, big toe injury. You need a big toe. You need, especially in sumo wrestling, you need a big toe. Those are pretty important for balance, pretty important for anchoring yourself and being able to push back. If he didn't have access to that, if it was hurting him and he was trying to kind of stay off the big toe, that's going to be a problem, and that could kind of be a reason why maybe he didn't do so well this tournament. Another big thing I think we're overlooking is the pressure that comes along with this. And I know I talked about this last episode, but it deserves to be talked about again. The dude's only 21 years old. To be 21, to be hyped as he's hyped, to be talking about, hey, you're going to win 3 in a row and you're going to be the next Yokozuna. That's a lot. That's a lot to carry with you. And this is his World Series. This is his Super Bowl. Yeah, maybe pressure had a lot to do with it. Maybe it did kind of crumble down around him, especially after you lose, within the first, 2-3 days. Yeah, maybe you start to panic. You start to feel like, a little rush that you need to pick up and win. So pressure definitely probably played a lot to it. But the bigger one, I think I kind of have circled on my notes. I kind of wonder if the Sanyaku has him figured out a little bit. Aonishiki has an interesting posture for sumo. Definitely more of kind of like a freestyle wrestling posture stance, which Aonishiki does definitely have a background in. But he's kind of more bent over than a lot of other wrestlers are. And I think it's really evident when we look at the match between him and Atami Fuji. Last basho, Aonishiki took care of Atami Fuji fairly easily. In the playoffs, same type of thing, where it did get close to the end, but Aonishiki was able to finish him off. This basho, it did not look like that. It did look like Atami Fuji had control almost the whole way. And what I saw and what other people have also already pointed out is that if you can stand Aonishiki up, he doesn't really have much else in him. And so we see it with some of these bigger boys. Atami Fuji, Oho did the same thing. Yoshino Fuji also was able to do it to him. If you lock down his arms and you lift him up and you get chest to chest, belly to belly, you can force him back fairly easily. So I kind of wonder if the scouting report's out. He's kind of been figured out now. And Aonishiki needs to go back to the drawing board. It's not that he's a one-trick pony. I do not believe he's a one-trick pony at all. But maybe he needs to sharpen some of the other tools in his shed now. Maybe he needs to be able to go to some other techniques that he can work on and get to. Because whatever happened this tournament, they definitely seem to have gotten him this time. But like I said, let's not blow this out of the water here and just dog this guy the whole time. And a lot of people online are talking like this is the end of his career, and that's crazy. One more time, he is 21 years old. He shot up into the top division at Magashira 15, then went to Magashira 9, then Magashira 1, and then was in the Sanyaku. All right? 5 of his 7 basho have been in the Joy. 5 of his 7, he has been wrestling the top of the division. So, yeah, things are going to catch up. Yeah, he needs to go back and work a little bit on some other tools that he might have. But let's not kid ourselves. The guy belongs. Even if he ends up going Kadoban next basho and he gets demoted, it's fine. It's going to be fine. I wanted to see him get the Yokozuna promotion. It didn't happen, but it's fine. He's all right. I would not doubt if we see him in conversations for Yokozuna promotion again. It's going to happen for sure. All right. So everyone needs to calm down. Aonishiki's all right. He's going to be all right. And I look forward to seeing him wrestle because he has so many more years to wrestle. So speaking of Yokozuna, Hoshoryu had a pretty good tournament. He went 11-4. So it's hard to be upset about that record. I think he did really good, and he was in the yusho race up until I guess technically into the last 2 or 3 days. Um, so it is hard to be upset about it, but at the same time, he is the Yokozuna. And I this especially with Onosato out and then Aonishiki kind of sinking rather quickly, I would have really hoped to have seen Hoshoryu jump all over this opportunity and win his first Yusho as the Yokozuna, and he didn't do that. What I feel like I saw from him this tournament, he won from talent and strength. That's why he won. He won because he's strong. He won because he is a Yokozuna and he's very talented. And he's a lot more talented than a lot of the people surrounding him. And that's a fact. And I really believe that's why he won 11 of those 15 matches. But I also thought his technique looked really bad. I don't think his technique looked good at all. When you look at the people he lost to, Kirishima, Kotozakura, Daisho, those are seasoned vets right there. You cannot just show up and think that you're going to be stronger than them and just beat them. You've got to have a little bit more than that. And even the ones that he did win, I thought his feet didn't look under him. It looked like a lot of times he won based off of sheer luck of being able to balance out just a little bit longer than everybody else. He lost to Fuji Nokawa, which, Fuji Nokawa is a great wrestler. I'm so excited to talk about him in a little bit. But that's what you're seeing is that's, as a Yokozuna, he should be able to beat Fuji Nokawa. He should. And he's not. And that's the problem. Fuji Nokawa was Magashira too, so high enough ranked, but still. You would expect the Yokozuna to be able to win that match, and he didn't. And I feel like it is technique. I feel like it's all in his head, where I wouldn't say he's desperate for a Yusho victory, but I think he desperately wants a Yusho victory. And sometimes I feel like he's just coming hot out of the gun, going as fast as he can, as hard as he can, thinking that will be enough. And unfortunately, it's just not. And Kirishima went on a tear. He had that Yusho locked up by day 13, I believe. At that point, I was like, yeah, he definitely has it. There was still a shot for Hoshoryu to sneak in there some way, but you don't want your Yokozuna to sneak in and win. You want him to dominate, and I was kind of hoping to see a day 15 Kirishima versus Hoshoryu for the Yusho. And it just didn't happen, and that kind of stinks. Our other Yokozuna, Onosato, went Kujo after day 3. I guess it was that left shoulder again, and you could see it from day 1. It looked like it was hurting, and that I'm glad he decided to drop out after day 3, because I would rather see him drop out and then be back by June so that we can see him full strength than to see him try to, work through this basho and not win. So I'm glad he went Kujo, and I hope that he heals and does what he needs to do so that by June we see him back out there and he's healthy and he's the old Onosato and we get to see some good wrestling coming up. So let's check in on the what to watch for, who to watch for, and how they did this basho. So Tommy Fuji, his career high Komusubi rank went 9-6. He could have won the Fighting Spirit Prize had he won today, but he did lose to Takayasu, so he wasn't able to win that award. But a 9-6 record, I think, was awesome to see a Tommy Fuji wrestle that well. His other notable losses, were to Hoshoryu and Kirishima. So he lost to the people you kind of expected him to lose to, and won the matches you expected him to win. I think there's still room for growth, but overall, I was really happy to see what he did. And, a lot of these guys, I said, prove it, prove you belong, and I think Atami Fuji's starting to do that. He's still young. There's still a lot of wrestling left in his career. I'm excited to see what he continues to do as he grows. Yoshino Fuji at Magashira 1 went 7-8. Um, I that was disappointing to me. He's just not really doing it for me. I was I was hoping to see him do something amazing, be in the yusho race, and he's just not. It's very inconsistent wrestling. Now he's still young. There's still tons of opportunity for him to grow and to be better. And yeah, he's going to be better. It's going to happen. And maybe I'm just a little impatient, wanting to see a young guy, compete right away, especially because he does some really cool things. He gets Kimboshis. He beat Aonishiki this tournament. So he does a lot of really awesome things, and he looks really awesome a lot of the times. But he just sometimes, like, he lost to Oho and he lost to Abi, two guys, in my opinion, he doesn't have business losing to. But he did. And so there is just some inconsistent wrestling that comes out of him sometimes. But, disappointing. But he will probably always be on my what to watch for list, just because I do see that talent in him. And I think he's just going to break out one day, and you're going to go, where did he come from and what is he doing? Because that's the type of career I bet he'll probably end up having. Fuji Nokawa, same type of thing. 8-7 record at his career high, Magashira 2. He won the Technique Prize. And he honestly has a realistic chance to be promoted to Komusubi. Kirishima will be promoted. Takayasu will be probably drop down the ranks. Wakamoto Haru will drop down the ranks. Yoshino Fuji will not receive a promotion. Chiro Naomi will not receive a promotion. That leaves Waka Takakage and Fuji Nokawa to slide up and fill the Komusubi Sekiwake spots. So that's really cool. Fuji Nokawa is going to join the Sanyaku. He had 2 Kimboshi again this tournament. So that seems to be a common theme for him. So awesome tournament from Fuji Nokawa. 8-7 records, nothing to, kind of sneeze at. He looked good. I enjoy watching him. I think, his size is going to be a problem for him. But I say that, and he goes out there and he beats a lot of bigger people too. So he's the youngest wrestler in the top division by far. So I am super excited to see where he continues to grow and what he continues to do. Shishi. What was I thinking? What was I thinking when I said, hey, watch Shishi? He might be able to win a yusho. He might be at the top of the division. 6-9 record. That's what he finished as. 6-9. What was I thinking? This is the last time I'll ever put my faith into Shishi. I looked at him and I said, you know what? It's getting better. Each and every time it's getting better. He's starting to figure it out. No, he didn't. So he went 6-9. He'll drop down the ranks a little bit. But hold me to it. I will not pick him as my dark horse to win a yusho ever again. Because unfortunately, I don't think he has it. I just don't think he has it. He doesn't have the technique, the speed. He has the size, he has the strength, that's for sure. But in terms of wrestling those top guys, he just doesn't have it. Fujiroga finished 7-8 at the bottom of the Bansuke. At Magashira 17, that's a probable demotion. It's a demotion. You saw flashes of talent from him. He looks big. He looks strong. Unfortunately, it looked like if someone could get in and grab the Mawashi, that was it for him. Then they could control him and they can get him out of the ring. They could, throw him to the ground. So he'll probably be in Jurio next Basho, but that's not the last we'll see of him. He will figure it out. He will get better. He's still a young guy as well. And so one of the top talents in all of sumo, or at least prospects in sumo. So he'll definitely be back up in the top division sooner rather than later. Lastly, but not least, and I hope you guys didn't think I would pass over this, Koto Shoho. I was a fool for not believing in him. I said that he would be the loser of the Bansuke. I said that there's no way at Magashira 5 he could win. I said he would have a losing record, worse of anybody else in the Bansuke. And what does he do? He goes out and gets an 11-4 record. We are halfway through the basho, and I look at the leaderboard, and there he is sitting at the very top, competing for a yusho. But this is one that I'm super happy about being wrong about. I love Koto Shoho. I love that, he was an unknown wrestler that kind of sprung up and won a yusho, several months back. But he finishes with 11-4 record, won the Fighting Spirit prize. The thing is, and I this is why I'm such a fool. I need to pay attention more often. Why did this happen? Because Koto Eiho was up in the top division. When was the last time Koto Eiho was in the top division? Oh, when Koto Shoho won the yusho. That's when. So Koto Eiho this tournament went 9-6. He will be in the top division for the foreseeable future. Put your money on Koto Shoho, folks. He's going to be wrestling well as long as his brother stays in this top division. So, how do we feel about sumo after this basho? Well, Asahakuru and Fuji Seiyun both finished with a 10-5 record. I love to see that. Those are two guys that have paid their dues, did their time. They're finally in the top division, and they're looking good. They're having fun. So I'm glad to see that, and I hope they stick around for a while. They're a fun couple wrestlers to watch go out there every day. Some questions I have going forward is, how dominant is the top talent of sumo? When I started this podcast 4 months ago, I believe it started as kind of a recap of Hatsu. And I said, I'm really hopeful for sumo. I said, when you really look at it, there is so much talent at the top. You got Hoshoryu, Onosato, Aonishiki, Kirishima, Kotozakura, Atami Fuji, Fuji no Kawa, Yoshi no Fuji, all these guys, and I listed them off, the Walker Bros. I listed them off, and I was like, sumo is in a great place. Sumo's an awesome place because any one of them could compete for a yusho. And it's still true, but it just feels very inconsistent at this point in time. Hoshoryu has been a Yokozuna for over a year, and he still hasn't won a yusho. We're still waiting on that. And I really felt that this basho was his chance, and he didn't capitalize. Kirishima did. Kirishima was fun to watch. But even then, in the past, Kirishima hasn't always been, consistent yusho winner either. He's a really solid wrestler, but I wouldn't say that he's consistently dominant. Aonishiki hasn't been here long enough for us to really say, one way or the other what his career is going to look like. I was really hoping, really hoping that he would prove me wrong and he would win the third yusho and be promoted to Yokozuna. That would have been so much fun. But whether injury, whether the pressure of being a young sumo wrestler, or just the fact that other older and more experienced sumo wrestlers have kind of figured out how to wrestle you, it's cracked. It's crumbling down around him right now. It's crumbling down around all of us right now. I was hoping to see, a dominant performance from him, but instead we get a Maki Koshi. Onosato, who is the closest we have to a consistent, dominant wrestler, is hurt, and he's been hurt. And the thing with sumo is you never know if or when these injuries will go away, because they're constantly pushing themselves. And that worries me, because we see it with Kotozakura, who 2 years ago was that guy. He was dominant. He was going to be a Yokozuna, but then his knees. And since then, he's been a consistent Kachikoshi winner. But I think it's been 2 years since he's been in a yusho race, even in the talks of getting a yusho. The Walker brothers, same type of thing. They're inconsistent. Yoshino Fuji, Fuji Nokawa, 2 young guys that I hope will show up and kind of start putting some pressure on the top division. Atami Fuji, the same thing. And Takayasu, and I know nobody wants to talk about this. I'm one of them, but we need to talk about it. He's getting older. Time's starting to run out. He still looks really good, but it could happen at any point. And so I just kind of wonder, like, how dominant is this top division anymore? Or is this more open for anybody to take? Could Koto Shoho show up in June and win a yusho? I think so. I think, yeah, absolutely. I think Atami Fuji could show up next basho and win it all. I really do. I think he could do it. So, I think there's a lot of things to be said, because I think a lot of people want to see a dominant top of the division. And then you also kind of look at it and say, well, it's open for anybody. And, that's kind of cool, because if we look at this Bansuke, and if Takanosho won a yusho, I think we'd all be cheering for it. We would all be so excited for that. That would be cool, right? So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things to be said about what this top division looks like right now, and how dominant the tippy top of this division really is. All right, some promotions heading our way. Ryuden and Wakanosho in the Juryo division will most likely get the promotion to the top division again, or for Ryuden at least. Looks like Enho finished 5-2 at the Makushita division and will be promoted to Juryo. Some fan favorites here. Nabatame went 7-0 in Sandaname and won the yusho, and will most likely be promoted up to Makushita. And then his stablemate, Hoshoryu, went 6-1 in Makushita and will most likely get a Juryo promotion as well. So that's really awesome. Glad to see Enho winning and hopefully on his way back to the top division. And then, of course, everyone who watches on YouTube, Nabatame and Hoshoryu are some fun people to watch. And I'm glad to see them winning, and I hope to see them in the top division at some point as well. I would definitely be cheering on those two in the top division. Well, as this kind of wraps up, maybe I'm the only one, but I do have to say, I love sumo. And I love when the basho starts. I get to roll out of bed and I grab my phone and I turn on sumo and I get ready for work and I drive to work listening to sumo. I get to work and I pull up my personal computer and I watch it while I'm working. And after the 15 days are up, I'm almost sad. I'm almost sad that it's over. That's the way I kind of feel right now. Is I had a lot of fun this tournament. There's a lot of talk, and I'm part of it. Sitting here yelling, well, is the top division as dominant as it should be? Is Aonishiki gonna ever make it back to the way he once was? Is Hoshoryu ever gonna win a yusho? Right? We're all a part of it, or a lot of us are part of it anyways. But sumo is still fun. There's still a lot to be excited about with sumo. And, I don't know. I read it on Reddit. I see it on YouTube. You hear it, and you hear these people, talk about all these different things going on and why it won't be this way or that way. And I think we just need to kick back and just enjoy sumo as it is. There's a lot of fun and exciting wrestlers to watch and to be excited for, and a lot of them are very young. And they have many more years ahead of them for us to cheer for them. So, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been another episode of Sumo Rant. I'll catch you in the next one.